Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with a short reaction to last night's disappointing game against Legia Warsaw. Obviously, Villa's first group game in Group E of the Europa Conference League, and the scoreline was Legia Warsaw 3, Aston Villa 2. And yeah, we'll go into a little bit around, the starting lineup, some of my thoughts around that, some of the mistakes, more in terms of the way that we're playing and what that means to us. One or two positives, and then maybe look into the future about what Emery might do, and of course. Get your comments in, your thoughts on last night's performance, your thoughts on what we need to do moving forwards. But before we go, we've got 5 more subscribers to hit 2,400. Come on, guys. I know you can do it. Hit that subscribe button and hit that like button to help us spread the word of the channel. It helps us on the road to 3K. So you guys would be really doing us a huge favor by liking and subscribing to the channel. So let's get into it. Obviously, the starting lineup I did mine prediction the other day, and had Martinez in goal. Did have Callum Chambers to start. I had Pau Torres starting, and I had Tielemans along with Luiz. It was obviously Tielemans along with Kamara. And then Watkins wasn't starting. Duran started. Bailey started. And then Zaniolo also came in as well. So in terms of people talking around, how was it a team that was weakened? Yes, fair enough. Longley played, Callum Chambers played, but Zaniolo, people have been crying out for him to start. Obviously, he started against Crystal Palace. Duran, people have been crying out for Duran to start. He obviously was one of the bright spots, scored another goal. And Chambers, played against Hibs, probably needs minutes, but for me, I probably wouldn't have made those changes in at centre back. Pairing Concert and Longley in a tough away game. I thought Longley was okay in parts, but massive looked really undercooked at certain times, particularly when he was running one on one against their attackers, and some of the relationship between him and Concert wasn't quite there, and also him and Dina wasn't there as well, and Dina got caught a lot of times, further forward and left Longley exposed. Chambers again, obviously we know he hasn't got he isn't blessed with great pace, but it was really exposed last night, and yeah, he had a really tough night. And if I was Emery, maybe one of the slight question marks as to why he wasn't brought off a little bit earlier, and Matty Cash came on, because Leon Bailey was a fairly bright spark in the game, and he just couldn't get enough of the ball because we were just under so much pressure on that right hand side. So yeah, it was a tough evening, and I mean, all three of the goals were similar in terms of us looking at sixes and sevens at the back. And if you watch our Talking Tactics show, Gareth talks about the pitfalls of the way that we're playing at the moment, and we are being more attacking. We're obviously scoring more goals. We're trying to take it to teams away from home. But the problem is when we give the ball away, because our midfielders are pushing forward, the likes of Kamara and Tielemans and McGinn and Zaniolo, one bad pass, and particularly last night, it was so exposed. One poor pass, and we literally, the other team was running at the heart of our defence. And because we've pushed both fullbacks up, very often it's the two defenders that they're running up against, and then our midfield is trying to scramble back. And I don't know whether it's a tactic that Emery is employing, but for me, Kamara has to stay in that sixth position, or Luiz has to stay in that sixth position, or Tielemans has to stay in that sixth position. There has to be at least one of them, maybe even two people away from home. And I'm not sure why we've deviated from this, because for me, Kamara looked absolutely lost. I've not really seen him have a particularly good game this season. I was calling it in pre-season. I didn't think he had a great pre-season. And whether he's carrying a little injury, whether he's a bit fatigued, I'm not sure. But for me, I was expecting huge things from him coming in from the end of last season into this season, and I've been hugely disappointed in the levels that he's producing, because I know he can produce so much more. So for me, Kamara, too much strolling about the pitch, looked lost, didn't want to get on the ball, didn't want to press, and he wasn't the only one, But the problem is when the Legia Warsaw attackers are running so quickly at our defence, it's difficult, when you're running back, but someone had to try and engage, and all of their goals came from the fact that no one wanted to put a challenge in, and that was so disappointing. One or two positives, obviously, John Duran scoring again. Looks like he's really chomping at the bit to play, and he's playing with no fear. And if you look at the goals he's scoring, it was a header yesterday. He obviously scored a wonder goal against Crystal Palace. He's just got no fear, and he's not bothered. Should have scored again. Maybe should have had a penalty. After being set up by Leon Bailey, another good chance and a great save by the keeper. But he's effective. He's causing problems, and I think we need to harness that. Contrastly, Ollie Watkins came on, didn't get in the game. Admittedly, it was 20 minutes to go, but you call on the big guns to come on, and you want in something out of them, and we didn't see anything from him. I don't think he even touched the ball. Diaby missed a chance when he came on. Great to see Jacob Ramsey come back. That's the second positive. And him coming on, obviously gives us more options. And it was actually good to see a bench that had, a lot of options on and a lot of players to bring on, which was great. Obviously, Ramsey could and should have maybe scored as well. So that's a positive. I guess in terms of, learning the lessons, it's the first game in the group. Some of the players, it's their first experience of it, and obviously certainly for Villa as well. A tough place to go in terms of Legia Warsaw as well, intimidating crowd. And we said in our preview, you've got to play the match, not the occasion. But the atmosphere was pretty intense, and we hopefully us Villa fans can make it as intense for them when they come to Villa Park. But one game in, AZ Alkmaar lost as well yesterday, so that kind of puts the group, turns the group upside down a little bit. We need to win that next game, put 3 points on the board. We've still got 5 games to go, so still plenty to play for in the group. But we need to win it, because otherwise, if we come second, we'd face a team that drops out of the Europa League. So winning it would give us a much better advantage. But let's not even talk about that right now. We need to just focus on the next game and take it. And put the win on the board. And it would be a lesson learned for the players. It'd be a lesson learned for Unai Emery as well. Maybe you've seen a lot in some of the players that played yesterday. Maybe some of the fringe players, maybe some of the first team players that, they need to step up, and they need to kind of up their standards. One other point I wanted to make, and it's been talking around on Twitter quite a bit, is the kits. Now, I don't know what is going on with that. I really don't know. I mean, after 5 minutes, the players look like they're absolutely drenched. Something has to be done about these kits, and whether we can do some sort of emergency change or what. I mean, it can't be right. It can't be right. And there was an interesting exchange on Twitter with Rob Warner, who designs kits, and someone was trying to tell him what they were doing, but it can't be right. I mean, I'll be interested to see supporters of other clubs. Newcastle have Castore, Wolves have Castore. Do they have the same kit issues? Because it just looks terrible, absolutely terrible. And also, Emi Martinez having to put a sticker over his sponsor on his kit. It just looked amateurish the way that we were yesterday. But anyway, we dust ourselves down in a Steve Bruce quote. Ready for Sunday against Chelsea. We'll be back later on for a match preview for that. But get your comments in around, yesterday's performance, your thoughts on it. Who were the positives? What were the negatives? What does Unai need to do for the next game? And we will probably cover it a little bit later on, because I know you guys will want to get in the comments and have your views. But we'll be back with a Chelsea preview tonight, so make sure you check that out. Thank you everyone for watching. Please do, as I say before, if you haven't already, hit that like button on your way out, hit that subscribe button, help us to hit 2,400. We're literally 5 away, and that helps us on the road to 3K. Your support has been amazing, so please do continue. As I say, we'll be back live at 9 o'clock. So thank you for watching, and as always, remember, we all follow the Villa. Thanks, everyone.
Up and running, and Villa Park is loud.